Kapiga simu tena, nikaamuka. Nikajaribu kutafuta mtoto tena hiyo usiku, bado ni mteja. Simu ikawa mteja tu hivyo hivyo. Sasa kufikia jana Alhamisi, ilikuwa Ijumaa, nikamwambia asubuhi, hapana, hebu enda utafute kwa mochari pengine ako huko, maana mtu Nairobi siku 3 hapatikani, hata inatutia wasiwasi. Sasa ndio hapo tukaconnect na wenzake kutoka huko nyumbani, wanafanya huko kazi. Wakaenda wakaangalia mochari, wakapata Wili ako mochari amelala, alikuwa city mochari. Kama alishutiwa kutoka, risasi ilimchukua mkono ikapita kwa kifua, maana amepambuka hii mkono na amemwaka damu. Wito wetu tunalilia serikali, kwa nini kwanza nashutumu serikali, kwa nini wanafanya mauaji kwa watoto wadogo, na watoto wameenda shule kusoma. Sisi wazazi tumejinyima nyumbani, tuna invest kwa watoto watusaidie maisha ya kesho, na askari wamesomea kazi yao, wanachukulia sheria mikononi, wanaumiza watoto. Ingelikuwa vizuri hata afadhali wangewashika waweke ndani, tufanye kesi na wao, lakini si kujichukulia sheria mikononi wakifanya mauaji kwa watoto wadogo. Inauma, ni uchungu kama mzazi.
The family of Dan Kakai, a young man who died while receiving treatment at Bungoma Referral Hospital after being shot by police officers during the Gen Z protest in Bungoma town on Tuesday, mourns the loved one's loss. The center visited their late son's home in the Sinoko Milimani neighborhood of Bungoma town. The family's grief makes it difficult for them to arrange their son's funeral. According to the family, Dan, aged 17 years old, had told his aunt he was going to the barber shop, unaware that he will not return home.
Daniel Kakai akiwa ndugu yangu. Siku ya Jumanne, Dani alitoka kwa boma akisema anaenda kunyoa nywele. Na wakati alitoka, kufikia jioni hatukumuona, bali tulipokea simu wakituambia kwamba Dani amepigwa risasi. Kwa hiyo harakati, sisi kama hatujafika huko, Dani aliokotwa na msamaria mwema ambaye ni mmoja wa madaktari pale district. Aliokoa Dani akampeleka mpaka emergency.
Ni huzuni kabisa kwa jamii na kwa majirani hapa kupoteza mtoto wa umri mdogo sana kiwango kile, kutokana na serikali ambayo inafaa iwatunze wananchi, itunze watu wa taifa lake. Mimi kitu ambayo nitahuzunika sana ni jinsi kijana amekuwa ni kijana mtulivu. Mimi mmoja ambaye namuelewa, kijana hana mambo mengi, hana ile umachachari ya hapa na pale kama wengine wetu. Sisi tumekaa katika siasa hii kwa muda, na huyu kijana ukimwangalia mambo yake si mengi sana. Lakini kwa sasa tunaambiwa kwamba kaunti ya Bungoma wanapoguzia kijana ambaye ameuawa kutokana na maandamano ambaye anaendelea Kenya mzima, tunapata ni huyu kijana ambaye hajihusishi katika mambo ya siasa na mambo mengine.
Mtoto wakati msamaria mwema alinipigia simu, ilikuwa kwa kaunti ya Narok, Transmara. Akaniambia mimi rogota mtoto Dani, namuita nani? Kamwambia ni kijana yangu. Akaniambia kuja haraka. Nikasema niko mbali sana. Nikajaribu kutafuta hiyo shangazi yake, mwambie ndo angalie mtoto. Akaniambia nyo mtoto ameumia. Kijana ilikuwa natarajia yeye anisaidie baadaye. Na sasa sina nyuma na sina mbele. Naomba tu serikali yenyewe ikushughulikie kusaidia. Saidiwa hali ya shule wasome na ujenzi ya nyumba. Nilikuwa nategemea nitafuta hii mwezi wa kununua hii shamba nimaliza nipate pesa nijenge. Hii imenipata njiani.
Nimekaa na mtoto wangu, nimemzoea. Nilisikia kustuka kwingi sana kwa mwili wangu. Nikauliza mtoto, nini ilikupeleka huko chini na nilikuacha na kunywa chai kwa nyumba? Kaniambia naenda kunyoa. Sikujua alipatikana huko aje.
President, William Samoei Ruto, now says he is willing to have a conversation with the Kenyan youth on any platform of their choice, including on X Spaces. In an exclusive interview with digital journalists at State House on Sunday evening, Ruto was asked if he would join X Spaces to engage the disgruntled youth, the majority of whom are Gen Z or the Generation Z. The president further said the youth can choose the option of identifying a leader among them who will represent them or decide how they want to engage him if they choose to be leaderless.
My very good sons and daughters, let me tell you that I value what you do. I have heard what you have said. I have seen what you have done. And you have made recommendations. Some I will outright implement on cutting down on government legacies and cutting down on offices that we can. I will deal with some of the issues that you have raised. You have given me some difficult choices. I will suggest to you how we can together go about the difficult choices that you have put on the table on some of the issues. But I want to promise you that in the engagement that we're going to have, God willing, in the next couple of days, I think we've agreed with some of your colleagues here that maybe Thursday, Friday, I will be thoroughly clear, and I want you to be equally clear on what you think, the suggestions you have on how to take our country forward. My request to you is that we have a country to keep. It's the only home we have. We must do whatever it is that we do within the parameters of the law, respecting one another and talking to each other with respect so that we can move forward together as a country. I am looking forward to this engagement in the space that you will recommend. I'm told X is the space that you want us to engage. And I have committed that I will find myself into that space. I will ask one of you guys in that space to host us so that we can have this conversation as I do what I must do to get the country moving forward.
Now, Chief Justice Martha Koome has condemned the police for using excessive force during protests against the 2024 finance bill and the increasing incidents of abductions nationwide. Speaking at the Milimani Law Courts during a lawyer's swearing-in ceremony, Koome urged the police to adhere to proper arrest protocols. She emphasized that the law allows peaceful protest and assured justice for all victims of police brutality. However, Koome noted that the judiciary will not be intimidated by the destruction of court property during the protests.
The next one, Lisa? Yes. We cannot, for us, judges and judicial officers, envisage anybody taking law into their own hands and taking away a life. Life is precious. It should always be preserved. Even if somebody is caught stealing or committing the worst form of a crime, they must be arrested and processed according to the law. We should not witness cases of excessive use of force that threaten the lives of peaceful and unharmed protesters. I therefore condemn the excessive use.
Now, leaders from various civil society organizations in the country, led by Houghton Irungu of Amnesty International Kenya, held a press conference earlier in the day to continue condemning and strongly opposing the excessive police brutality against protesters and the frequent abductions, blaming the central government. Now, these leaders have complained about government integrity and corruption, calling for prosecution against the Inspector General of Police for brutality and murder cases involving police officers during peaceful protests against the 2024-2025 finance bill.
24 human beings have been killed by police officers, and at least over 361 people have reported several injuries. One of the youngest fatalities is 12-year-old Kennedy Onyango.
Gen Z have clearly spoken on the urgent need for the state to arrest public theft and a bloated cabinet, invest in essential services, act on those who have fired on unarmed protesters, release those who are arbitrarily arrested, and an end to extrajudicial killings, among other demands. Many of their demands, in our view, do not require policy dialogue, but they require decisive executive action. We call on the national administration and the 47 county administrations to listen and to act on the considerations and demands being raised by the Generation Z movement.
The National Police Service must stop criminalizing and profiling protesters and cease using camouflage, non-uniformed officers and unmarked cars with concealed license plates.
All those who have been abducted to be released. If not, we are going to file contempt of court, and to those specific people who have deflected from those orders.
We are going to sue Inspector General of Police in line with the law so that journalists do not become victims of police brutality. We know very well that Geneva Convention says that journalists in such circumstances are supposed to be given safe corridors and protected by police instead of being attacked by the police.
Our former Nandi Hills MP Alfred Keter has described his arrest as a government plot to intimidate him due to his statements against the government. Keter turned himself in at the DCI, or the Directorate of Criminal Investigations headquarters, after his arrest yesterday and subsequent release. Accompanied by his lawyers, Keter claimed his arrest was politically motivated. The DCI yesterday denied abducting Keter, stating that he was arrested by police concerning arms trafficking. The officers involved said they organized his arrest after he allegedly resisted. The controversial incident occurred on Kileleshwa Road, Nairobi, as Keter was returning from church with his family. Azimio leaders, led by Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka, who accompanied Keter to the DCI headquarters, condemned the abductions, with ODM Secretary General Edwin Sifuna reiterating that Azimio leaders are willing to surrender to the DCI headquarters to avoid abductions.
I want to really thank the Kenyans who came out to talk about this issue, because were it not for the people who took the video and for the video to be viral, maybe I would have lost my life, because the way they did it, it was not a normal arrest. I was abducted. And I was watching on TV yesterday when the president said, when you are summoned and then you fail to honor the summons, that is when you are arrested in the manner that I was arrested. But I was not arrested, I was abducted. There were no summons. And they were beating me up, trying to say that you've been against government. And then the questions that I was asked, one of it is my relationship with the former president, Uhuru Kenyatta, and my relationship with the current deputy president. And then issues to do with arms from Congo. I think it is a movie. But generally, don't intimidate us into silence.
As we speak, is it really a democracy? It's a real dictatorship, and we still insist that the young Kenyans who are demonstrating out there must be allowed to exercise their constitutional duty.
There's one protester who said that William Ruto, when he's not flying, he's lying. When he's not flying, he's lying. I think this, since the Gen Z happened, this is the longest he has been in the country without flying. But he's doing a lot of lying, as we saw last night. He had lied about the number of people who were killed. He said there were only 6. Yesterday on national television, he acknowledged that number was triple the number he had told the country before. And when he says there are 19, then you need to triple that number.
So, despite the promises that were made by Ruto during the campaign, he is still maintaining police hit squads, people who are not even known to the police. and they are the ones conducting these abductions. At least for Alfred Keter, there were people there to film it, and that is why he is still safe here. A second request we have made to the DCI is that if there is any leader in Azimio, any one of us, who they need to see or talk to or to speak to, or to, if you have any issue with any one of us, we are available at very short notice. There is no need to go and break down Honorable Babu Owino's door at home when his wife and children are there.
Now, the Generation Z youth have expressed their frustration with what they describe as excessive force by security officers during protests. These youths gathered in the city to donate blood for their hospitalized peers at Kenyatta National Hospital and to mourn those who lost their lives. The High Court issued an order preventing the police from using excessive force, including water cannons and tear gas and other cruel measures against peaceful protesters.
Tumeenda Kenyatta kuwaona, to see them, to see how they are doing, na pia kudonate blood. Pia kuna watoto wa 13 years, 14 years, 16 years wameshutiwa. We want to advocate for those people wakuwe compensated because wameumia, kazi zao zimesimama. They are the breadwinners in their family. They can't do anything because sahi hawana sahi job.
Tuesday is a day of demonstrations and they're going to show up in towns and it's going to be a holiday, a public holiday, Tuesday and Thursday.
Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka has called for the dissolution of the National Assembly and the resignation of Speaker Moses Wetangula following the outcome of protests against the finance bill. This call comes after MPs who voted to pass the bill apologized to Kenyans amid growing public outrage against their legislators, with some Kenyans vowing to continue protests against President William Ruto's leadership.
We will set an example by taking disciplinary action against our members of parliament who voted in favor of the repugnant anti-people finance bill 2024. We will remove them from their leadership positions in both the party and in parliament. We urge other Kenyan people-centric parliamentary parties to follow suit and recall all those representatives in the legislature and the executive who have failed you time and time again. Do you sincerely feel you should go and sit in that august house at a time like this? Or is indeed the best thing for you to do? Parliament can perhaps even dissolve itself. I'm asking on Speaker Wetangula to dissolve Parliament, himself resign as a measure of solidarity with the Kenyan people. Perhaps he will save his legacy.
Now, Embakasi East Member of Parliament Babu Owino lambasted President William Ruto over his handling of critical issues in Kenya. Owino's remarks, delivered with palpable frustration, came after a recent interview with President Ruto that left many questioning his awareness of the nation's pressing problems. Owino's primary grievance centered on Ruto's apparent disconnect from the harsh realities facing Kenyan citizens. He noted that Ruto seemed unaware of such incidents, which he argued highlights a significant detachment from the plight of ordinary Kenyans. The MP was particularly incensed by what he perceived as disrespect towards the family of Kerer, a prominent figure, stating that Ruto's actions betrayed the promises he made during the campaigns.
But it's okay. I really want to express my disappointment on the way Ruto is handling issues in this country. And clearly Ruto is a visitor in Jerusalem, he's a visitor in Kenya. It was clearly shown yesterday by the fact that he didn't even know whether people are dying in Kenya or not. He didn't even know the plight of a child who was shot by his own police officers. And because of that, we are so disappointed at Ruto. And I want to express my disappointment once again. When Ruto was campaigning in 2021, 2022, he clearly was telling the then regime that do anything to me as Ruto, but do not touch my children, leave my children alone. Yesterday, what he did to Keter's family, it is so disrespectful to disrespect a man, and then you go further disrespect the wife and further disrespect the children. It's just a big shame. But I know, once the bill has been withdrawn, Ruto must go. Correct. And actually, there's an act that should take precedence as things are. Ruto, they should ensure that that budget is reduced to around 3 trillion. We don't need a budget of 3.9 trillion if we can't manage it. And it is clear that in the last financial year, they only managed to collect, this financial year that is ending today, 23-24, they only managed to collect 2.3 trillion. which means that we are running this country on a deficit. So therefore, we don't need a budget of 3.9 trillion. So these unconstitutional offices must be done away with. Members of Parliament, I don't support the fact that members of Parliament should be traveling. We should remain here in Kenya and sort all our problems here.
Moving on, leaders from Tana River and Marsabit counties, led by Garsen MP Ali Wario, have criticized Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua for his disagreements with President Ruto and various government departments. At a meeting in Marsabit, these leaders continued to accuse the Deputy President of lacking integrity and faith in his government, contrary to the law as a leader. This comes after the Deputy President accused Nudin Haji, calling for his removal, citing failure to fulfill his duties at the NIS office and causing chaos and tragedy. Despite these criticisms, the leaders urged Rigathi Gachagua to respect the President, who is William Ruto.
Sasa kama Rigiji ameshiba, yeye anataka sisi pia tushibe ama tukufe na njaa. Mnaelewa hiyo? Na juzi bunge, wale waliokuja bunge sio jenzi ya kawaida. Wale ni jenzi wa kora. Wale imechanganyika na Mungiki ya Rigiji, kwa sababu wamekana chairman ya Mungiki. Yule anaitwa nani sijui? Maina Njenga.
Sasa kusema maneno mengine vile tu unataka na vile haistahili kiongozi, hiyo tunaku advice kidogo, enda polepole, maneno hapana kuwa namna hiyo. Lazima kama Deputy President wetu, lazima ujali kila sehemu, kila mwananchi wa Kenya, na lazima uheshimu President wetu na ukae na yeye.
Nurdin Haji amesomea uwakili, akakulia katika NSIS, akawa deputy director wa hiyo, kisha akaenda DPP, alafu akarudi kuwa mkubwa wa intelligence. Alihojiwa na bunge, alihojiwa na kila kitengo, akaonekana anatosha hiyo kazi. Wewe umepitia wapi?
Watoto wetu wako na haki waandamane, lakini wachunge na wajue kuna wahalifu ambaye wanataka kuchukua nafasi kati yao, kuua watu, kupora mali, kuchoma manyumba kama bunge. Hatutawaruhusu.
Machakos Governor Wavinya Ndeti now claims that the destruction witnessed in parts of the country during last Tuesday's anti-finance bill demonstrations were executed by non-residents. Ndeti, without mentioning names, claimed that goons were hired to destroy properties in Machakos. She spoke in at the river town Mavoko sub-county on Monday, where she claimed that the residents had been conducting peaceful demonstrations on the fateful day when they were infiltrated by the goons, leading to property destruction.
It hurts me as a mother when I see our young people demonstrating, and then you have goons coming to interfere with them. I was in the space yesterday and I spoke to them, and when you hear them, sincerely speaking, they have points. They are very sensible. Na hawa ni watu wamesoma, hawa sio wajinga. And I want to tell you, where are they educated? These are children who got free education during Kibaki's time. See, from 202. During Kibaki's time and during Uhuru's time. So we are dealing with a generation that is well educated and well informed. When they ask us to come and sit down with them and talk, let us talk. Requesting you, first, no, we have more than 75 to 80% of young generation in this country, and now especially in Machakos. Anything we do, we must do geared to the interest of the majority, who are the young people in our country and in Machakos County. If there are any opportunities or anything that needs to be done in your department, let us make sure we carry these young people along with us. They are the majority, and sometimes you can say the majority have their say. And what I would want to ask the people of Machakos, you see, I am sure there are some thugs that were brought to come and destroy some properties in Machakos County. I've kept quiet, I've not spoken about it. Machakos people are not stupid to spoil their own properties. And I'm asking the police, how walikuja kuingililia wale vijana wetu walikuwa na demonstrate peacefully, wakaharibu mali ya Machakos, let them be dealt with. Because at the end of the day, if we spoil what is ours, now I am going to spend a lot of money trying to repair what was damaged instead of doing new development.
Now, away from protests and rejection of the finance bill, commuters are demanding immediate repairs for the Minjila-Lamu highway, citing the deteriorating conditions of the road as a major source of inconvenience and danger. The highway, a crucial link for daily travelers, has fallen into disrepair, causing significant delays and posing safety risks. Frustrated by the lack of action, locals are calling on authorities to prioritize the maintenance and repair of this essential piece of infrastructure.
Hii barabara kutoka ikatike sahi ni mwaka na shida, ikatika wanaweka mawe nao kuna delay pale, inatuharibia gari zingine ziko chini, kama gari ndogo zinapata shida, zinakwama hapo. Hata mara nyingine inabidi sasa kuwe na traffic jump hapo ndo watu wavurutwe. Kibiashara, kwa sababu kulikuwa mwezi ulioisha kulikuwa kumejaa maji hapa. Kulikuwa pande wa mizigo ni shida, unakuja na boat unawekwa hapo mbele, unaacha gari, unafload mzigo kwa boat, unapeleka kwa gari nyingine, side ile nyingine, ndio unakuwa na delay. Tunasikia hii barabara ishatolewa pesa na bado haijatengenezwa, sijui kwa nini, shida iko wapi. Serikali inasema ishatoa pesa, lakini mpaka sasa hii barabara haijatengenezwa, wanaika mawe tu. Murkomen ni kama anazembea kwa kazi yake, kwa sababu hii barabara si mara ya kwanza kukatika. Barabara hii na Garissa wasikia ziko na shida sana hizo barabara. Sijui ni kandarasi wanapeana ni wako ovyo, sijui shida iko wapi sasa. Kwa hivyo Murkomen atakana atembea angalie barabara, sio akae kwa ofisi tu.
Barabara imetuathiri kiwango kikubwa, maana tunaposafirisha watu kutoka Mombasa kupeleka Lamu ama wageni kutoka Lamu kuwapeleka Mombasa inakuwa ni changamoto. Kama mnavyoona, ilikuwa tunatumia masaa kidogo, lakini sasa tunachukua muda mwingi. Wakati mwingine tuna mizigo kama samaki, inabidi wanaharibikia njiani kwa sababu ya barabara nimekuwa ni shida. So tulikuwa tunamuhimiza waziri wa barabara ajukumike na ichukue hii kama dharura, maanake imeathiri sana kiwango hata upande wa tourism, upande wa Lamu.
Inasikitisha kwamba kuna biashara hapa ni za siku zote. Kwa mfano biashara za mboga, watu wamekuwa wakipata hasara sana kwa sababu ya hii barabara. Mboga zinachelewa, mara hazipiti, mara barabara bado mbaya. Kwa hivyo watu wamepata hasara sana, wale wafanya biashara hakika wamepata hasara. Na mpaka sasa hatujaona kwamba dalili yote kutengenezwa hizo barabara. Bado utaona imefanya vitu tu temporary, basi hatujui tena itatengenezwa lini, kwa sababu hii ni barabara muhimu ya watu wa Lamu, hasa kwa port.
And that marks the end of today's EBN TV Prime News. My name is Consolata Chibalonza. Thank you very much for staying truthful to EBN TV. Tomorrow is Tuesday. Are you ready for Tuesday? Until next time, God bless.